Step into a world spinning wild in 1974. A teenager with wide eyes climbs the fog-draped hills of Dharamsala, India. His name? Pico Iyer, a child of scholars, born where Oxford's grey stones meet India's vibrant soul. And there, waiting, with a smile that could unravel centuries of sorrow, stands the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, a monk cast into exile, a voice of peace rising through the storm. Oh, what a collision, what a spark. Can you feel the weight of that moment? A boy meets a man who's lost a nation yet gained a galaxy of hearts. How does that not ripple through a life forever? If this story stirs you like it does me, hit that subscribe button and share this video. Let's spread this light together. Zia wasn't just any kid, mind you. He was a seeker, a dreamer, already tasting the world's edges with a father who'd met this monk years before. And the Dalai Lama? No ordinary figure. A child plucked from a Tibetan village at 2, crowned. A spiritual king, then cast into the wilderness of exile by 1959. Yet here he stands, laughing, teaching, shining. Who wouldn't be struck dumb by that? I know I am. This isn't just a story of a writer and his subject, it's a mirror, a mystery, a shout into the void. What happens when one soul meets another and the universe bends to listen? In these pages, we'll unravel Pico Iyer's dance with the Dalai Lama, how a biography became a lifeline, how meetings became a map to meaning. It's not just about them, though. It's about us, you and me. What lights our path? What voices call us to wake up? Let's plunge in, shall we? Because this tale isn't just history. It's a heartbeat, a question, a cry for something truer. Who is this Pico Iyer anyway? Born in 1957, a child of two worlds, British reign and Indian sun, he grew up with a mind that refused to sit still. His father, Raghavan, an Oxford philosopher, planted the seed early, meeting the Dalai Lama in 1960 when Tibet's wounds were still raw. Imagine little Pico tagging along in 74, his teenage heart thumping as he climbs those Himalayan steps. What must he have thought? A monk in maroon robes, a figure from headlines, now flesh and blood before him. Oh, the thrill of it. Iyer's life was already a tapestry of motion. He'd study at Eton, Harvard, Oxford, elite corridors of thought, but his soul craved something else. Travel, the open road. He'd write for Time, chase stories across continents, settle into a quiet life split between California's hum and Japan's stillness. Isn't that a paradox worth pondering? A man of words, yet a man of silence. How fitting he'd find a mirror in the Dalai Lama, another soul who speaks loudest in quiet. That first meeting in Dharamsala wasn't a fluke. It was fate's gentle nudge. Picture the scene. Prayer flags fluttering, the air thick with incense, the Dalai Lama's eyes twinkling as he greets this gangly boy. Did Iyer know then that this would stretch across 40 years, that he'd board planes with this monk, sit in temple halls, watch him greet strangers like long-lost friends? I wonder, what draws us to certain people? Is it chance or some ancient thread pulling us home? For me, this hits hard. I've wandered too, not across continents maybe, but through books, through dreams. Haven't you felt it? That ache for someone, something to show you the way. Iyer found it in the Dalai Lama's presence, a presence that doesn't demand but invites. Be kind whenever possible, the Dalai Lama says. It's always possible. Simple, right? Yet it's a thunderclap. Iyer heard it, felt it, and oh, how it shaped him. Fast forward to 2008. The Open Road hits shelves, and it's no ordinary book. A biography, they call it, but hold on. It's not a dry list of dates and deeds. It's Iyer pouring his heart onto the page, weaving his own steps with the Dalai Lama's global dance. Can you imagine the audacity? To write a life so vast, so untouchable, yet make it feel like a fireside chat. I'm in awe. The book's a hybrid, a memoir of meetings, a travelogue of Japan and India, a meditation on a man who's both monk and mover. Iyer doesn't just tell us the Dalai Lama fled Tibet in 59 or leads a government in exile. No, he shows us the laugh lines on his face, the way he naps on planes, the way he listens, really listens, to a world that's forgotten how. Isn't that the real story? Not the facts, but the feel of a life. One scene sticks with me. Iyer trailing the Dalai Lama in Japan, watching him rise at dawn for prayer. then charm a crowd by dusk. He's a monk who's a magician, Aya writes, and I gasp. Yes, that's it. A man who turns loss into lessons, who makes exile a stage for hope. But can ink ever hold such a spirit? I doubt it, yet Aya tries. He tries so hard, and oh, how it sings. Philosophically, this twists my mind. What's a biography anyway, a cage for a life or a window? Aya chooses the latter, flinging it wide. We write to taste life twice, Anais Nin said, and Aya's tasting every drop. Bitter exile, sweet compassion, the salty tang of human struggle. For me, it's a reminder. We can't capture truth, but we can dance with it. Don't you think that's what Aya's chasing here? Not the Dalai Lama's story, but the light he casts. Oh, to think of it, 40 years. 4 decades of footsteps shared between a writer and a monk, threading through continents, weaving a bond that's as delicate as silk and as strong as stone. Pico. Ice didn't just meet the Dalai Lama once and call it a day. No. This was a pilgrimage stretched across time, from that misty Dharamsala dawn in 1974 to the lantern-lit temples of Japan decades later. Can you feel the weight of that? A teenager grows into a man, and all the while, this exiled sage walks beside him. What a marvel. Let's paint the picture. It's not all grand stages and headlines, mind you. Sure, there were those, crowds in Tokyo, lectures in New York, but the real magic? It's in the quiet corners. Aya trailing the Dalai Lama through a Japanese monastery, the air thick with cedar and silence, watching him kneel at dawn, his breath a soft rhythm against the world's noise. Or breakfast in some tucked-away guest house, the Dalai Lama chuckling. Over tea, his eyes crinkling as he teases Aya about his endless questions. Can you see it? A monk who's lost everything, home, nation, freedom, yet finds joy in a steaming cup, a shared glance, a moment of stillness. How does he do it? How does anyone? Aya's seen it all, the public face and the private heart. He's written of days that start at 3 a.m., the Dalai Lama rising to meditate while the world sleeps, then stepping into a whirlwind of diplomacy by noon. 1 minute he's a hermit lost in prayer, the next he's shaking hands with strangers, his laugh booming like a bell. Aya recalls a flight, oh, this sticks with me, where the Dalai Lama, mid-journey, simply naps, head lolling, a child at rest amid turbulence. Isn't that a lesson right there? To find peace not when life's calm, but when it's roaring? I'm floored by it, and the travels. Japan became their annual ritual, Aya tagging along, notebook in hand, as the Dalai Lama swept through temples and train stations. Picture this, a monk in robes surrounded by salarymen and schoolgirls, yet utterly at home. Aya's there, watching him greet a janitor with the same bow he'd offer a prime minister. My religion is kindness, the Dalai Lama says, and oh, how those words echo. Aya felt them, not as a slogan, but as a pulse, a living thread. Through every handshake, every grin, emotionally this cuts deep. I think of my own life, don't you? Those rare souls who've walked with me through years, through storms. What do they teach us? Here's tapestry with the Dalai Lama, brims with highs and lows, the joy of a shared joke, the ache of watching a man mourn his stolen Tibet. One moment stands out, here recounting a quiet talk in Dharamsala, the Dalai Lama's voice dropping, as he speaks of his people's pain, then lifting as he insists hope remains. If you lose hope, you lose everything, he told Aya. Everything. Can you hear the weight in that? I can't shake it. It's a cry from a man who's seen hell, yet chooses light. Philosophically, this tapestry begs questions. What does it mean to truly know someone? Is it the hours logged, the miles trekked, or something else? The way their presence shifts your air. Aya's 40 years aren't just a timeline, they're a testament to connection's power. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances, Carl Jung wrote. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Transformed, that's it. Aya didn't just observe the Dalai Lama, he was reshaped by him. And oh, how that ripples out to us. What do we learn from those we walk beside? Are we brave enough to let them change us? And now, oh, the heart of it all, and we reach that blazing line. Pico Aya considers him a great source of inspiration in his life. A great source, not a flicker, not a spark, but a bonfire, a sunburst, a force that rewrites a man's soul. What does that mean for someone like Aya, a wanderer, a wordsmith, a seeker who's tasted the world's edges. Let's unravel this because it's not just a footnote, it's the whole damn song. First, what's inspiration? A jolt? A muse? For Iye, it's the Dalai Lama himself, flesh and spirit, a living paradox that sets his world alight. Think of it. Here's a monk who's lost Tibet, a kingdom of snow and prayer, yet strides the globe like he owns it, not with arrogance but with grace. A man who wakes at dawn to chant, then debates scientists by lunch. A loser who's won, a hermit who's everywhere. How does that not stir a writer's blood? I have seen it up close, the Dalai Lama laughing at his own frailties, weeping for his people, then turning to greet a stranger with eyes that say, "You're enough." "Oh, I'm undone by that." In the open road, Aya calls him a light. And isn't that perfect? Not a beacon barking orders, but a glow that warms, that guides. The purpose of life is to be happy, the Dalai Lama says, and to bring happiness to others. Simple, sure, but watch him live it. Exile at 24, decades of struggle, yet he's giggling over a bad joke with Aya on a Tokyo train. That's not just happiness, that's alchemy. Turning pain into gold, despair into dance. Can you imagine the fire that lit in Aya's chest? I can. I feel it too, just picturing it. Personally, this hits me like a wave. Aya's inspiration isn't abstract. It's raw, human, messy. The Dalai Lama's not a saint on a pedestal. He's a man who naps, who fumbles, who cares. Aya's watched him falter, tripping over English, mourning Tibet's scars, then rise, always rise, with a clarity that cuts through life's fog. For Aya, a man who's chased meaning in 100 cities, this is the gift, a model of resilience, of joy that doesn't deny the dark but dances with it. Happiness is not something ready-made, the Dalai Lama says. It comes from your own actions. And Iya saw those actions, every step, every smile. And oh, how it reshaped him. What's the philosophy here? It's paradox, pure and wild. The Dalai Lama's a monk rooted in stillness, yet a mover shaking the world. He's lost everything, yet lacks nothing. Iya drinks this in, and it begs us to ask, what inspires us? Power, fame, or something quieter? A hand extended, a heart unbroken? For me, it's this. The Dalai Lama gave Iya a lens to see life's chaos not as a curse, but a canvas. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are, Anais Nin wrote. And through the Dalai Lama, Iya saw possibility. Don't you crave that too? To find someone who turns your lens from grey to gold? Step back with me for a moment. Can you feel the air shift? We've walked through Aya's meetings, felt the spark of his inspiration, but now, oh now, we're plunging deeper into the marrow of it all. This isn't just a tale of a writer and a monk. It's a map, a mirror, a whisper from the universe about what it means to live, to breathe, to be. The Dalai Lama, through Aya's eyes, isn't just a man. He's a thread in the great tapestry of existence, pulling us toward truths we've forgotten. Let's unravel these philosophical strands, shall we? Because, oh, how they shimmer. Stillness in motion. A universal truth. Unveiled. First, let's grapple with this. The Dalai Lama's a paradox that breaks your heart wide open. A monk, rooted in stillness, hours of meditation, chants echoing through dawn, yet a man in constant motion, jetting across continents, speaking to crowds, shaking the world's hand. How does he do it? Aya's watched him, on plains, in temples, amid chaos, and seen a stillness that doesn't flee when life speeds up. Picture it, Tokyo's neon buzz, a train rattling, and there's the Dalai Lama, eyes closed, breath steady. A rock in the river. Isn't that astonishing? A man who carries peace not as a fragile thing, but as a force. Iya felt this too, a stillness that hums beneath the surface. He writes of mornings in Japan, the Dalai Lama rising at 3 a.m., alone, with his prayers then stepping into a day of noise and need. He's a monk who's a magician, Iya says, and I gasp, yes, it's magic, this dance of calm and storm. Philosophically, it's a thunderbolt. Maybe stillness isn't about escaping the world, but embracing it fully. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes, Marcel Proust wrote. The Dalai Lama's eyes, oh, those twinkling ancient eyes, see the chaos and say, "This too is home." Don't you ache for that? To stand still while the world spins, not numb but alive? For me, this cuts to the bone. I rush, don't we all? Chasing deadlines, dreams, some fleeting peace. But what if peace isn't out there? What if it's here, in the breath, in the choice to pause amid the race? Aya learned this from the Dalai Lama, and it's a gift he passes to us. Motion doesn't kill stillness, it cradles it. Oh, what a revelation. What would our days look like if we carried that truth? Suffering as teacher, exiles unexpected. Grace, now let's turn the lens, because here's where it gets raw. The Dalai Lama's life isn't a fairy tale. Exile at 24, his Tibet swallowed by 1959, decades of watching his people ache. How does a heart bear that? Aya's been there, close enough to hear the tremor in his voice, to see the tears he doesn't hide. Yet, oh, brace yourself. This man doesn't crumble, he teaches. Pain is inevitable, he says, suffering is optional. Can you hear the weight of that? It's not denial, it's defiance, a refusal to let loss define him. Iyer's seen it firsthand. The Dalai Lama speaking of Tibet, his voice soft but steady, then lifting to insist hope endures. If you lose hope, you lose everything. He told Iyer, and oh how that echoes. This isn't blind optimism, it's wisdom forged in fire. Heike, a wanderer who's tasted the world's edges, found in this a lesson that rewrote him. Suffering isn't the end, it's the beginning. Isn't that wild? A monk who's lost a nation turns pain into a classroom, teaching resilience, teaching grace. Philosophically, this twists the universe upside down. We run from pain, don't we? Hiding, numbing, cursing it. But what if it's a teacher? What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears, Seneca wrote, and yet the Dalai Lama smiles through his. Aya drank this in, every tear, every laugh, and it begs us to ask, what's our exile? A lost job, a broken heart, a dream deferred. Can we, like him, let it shape us without shattering us? I'm trembling at the thought because, oh, it's hard, but it's beautiful. Personally, this floors me. I've had my dark nights, haven't you? Moments where the world felt too heavy. But the Dalai Lama, through Aya's lens, whispers, suffering's not the enemy, despair is. He's turned exile into a grace I can barely fathom, and Aya's carried that light to us. What a gift, what a challenge. To see pain not as a thief, but a sculptor, can we dare that? The mirror of connection. Seeing ourselves in others, and now, oh, hold your breath, the deepest thread of all, connection. Aya didn't just watch the Dalai Lama, he saw him, and through him, saw himself. 40 years of meetings, tea in Dharamsala, talks in Japan, built a bridge between two souls, monk and muse. The Dalai Lama's kindness, his joy, his clarity, they weren't just traits, they were a mirror. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are, Anais Nin wrote, and oh, how true. Iyer looked at this man and found not just, say, subject, but a reflection of what he could be. Think of it. The Dalai Lama greeting a stranger like a brother, laughing at his own stumbles, holding silence like it's sacred. Iyer saw this and felt it shift him. His words grew softer, his questions sharper, his life richer. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances, Jung said. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Transformed? That's the alchemy here. Aya wasn't the same after those 40 years, and neither are we reading his ore. Philosophically, this is a clarion call. What do our connections reveal? Who mirrors us back to ourselves? The Dalai Lama's presence, his bare feet, his boundless heart, showed Aya a way to live, open, present, unafraid. And us? Oh, us. Who do we let in close enough to change us? I think of my own life, friends, strangers, fleeting faces, and wonder, am I brave enough to let them reflect me, to let them crack me open? Aya was, and the Dalai Lama was his chisel. For me, this is personal, achingly so. I've known people who've shifted my orbit, but have I truly seen them? The Dalai Lama's gift to Iyer was more than inspiration. It was a lens to see the world anew, to see himself anew. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it and join the dance, Alan Watts wrote. Aya plunged into this bond, danced with it, and oh, how it sings to us. Connection isn't just comfort, it's a mirror, a teacher, a dare to become more. Here we stand at the edge of something vast. Can you feel it? We've walked with Pico Iyer through 40 years, sat with the Dalai Lama's laughter and tears, unraveled threads of stillness, suffering, and connection. But now, oh now it turns inward. This isn't just their story anymore, it's ours. Ayer's pen, the Dalai Lama's light. They're not distant stars, they're mirrors, holding up questions that tremble in my chest, and I'll bet, in yours too. What does this tale ask of us? Who lifts us above the mundane? Oh, let's dive in because this is where it gets real. Personal confessions. Why this moves me to tears, I'll start here, raw and unfiltered. This story undoes me. Ayer, a wanderer with a notebook, finding a monk who turns exile into hope. Oh, it's too much. I've cried over these pages, not loud sobs, but quiet aching tears that sneak up when I least expect it. Why? Because it's not just about them. It's about me, about you, about every time we've stumbled and longed for someone to say, keep going. The Dalai Lama's smile, ears, awe, they pierce me, reminding me of moments I felt lost, then found by a kind word, a steady hand. Haven't you felt it too? That pang when life's heavy and someone, maybe a friend, a stranger, a memory lights a spark. For me, it's my grandmother's voice, soft but firm, telling me as a kid, you're enough. Or a teacher who saw past my chaos to something worth nurturing. Ayer had the Dalai Lama, 40 years of that twinkling gaze, and I weep for the beauty of it. The wound is the place where the light enters you, Rumi wrote. And oh, how true. Ayer's wounds, his rootlessness, his questions met the Dalai Lama's light, and I feel mine stirring too. What about you? Where's your light breaking in? The call to question. What inspires us? Who lifts us? So let's turn it outward, because this isn't just my confession, it's yours too. Ayer called the Dalai Lama a great source of inspiration, but what's ours? Stop for a second. Really. Stop and ask, what sets your soul ablaze? Is it a person, a parent, a partner, a child whose laugh rewrites your day? Or a moment, sunrise after a sleepless night, a song that hits just right? Ayer found his in a monk's resilience, his kindness, his dance of stillness and motion. But us, oh us, where do we look? And who lifts us? The Dalai Lama lifted. Yes, through tea and talks, through exile's grace, and I wonder, who's our anchor? I think of my best friend who listens when I ramble, or a writer like Mary Oliver whose words, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Jolt me awake. Ayer had decades with a monk who turned loss into lessons. What a gift. But don't we all have someone, something tugging us upward? Or have we forgotten to look? Oh, I hope not. This story begs us to search, to name our muses, to chase our sparks. Who's yours? Can you hear them calling? A life well lived, redefining success through Ayer's eyes. And now, oh, brace yourself. The big one. What's a life well lived? Ayer's journey with the Dalai Lama flips the script. Success isn't pages published or miles logged, though he's got plenty of both. It's something quieter, deeper, etched in the way he writes. Of the Dalai Lama's laugh, his bare feet on cold floors, his refusal to let despair win. The purpose of life is to be happy, the Dalai Lama says, and to bring happiness to others. And oh, how Ayer drank that in. Not happiness as a prize, but as a practice, a gift shared. Look at our world. Don't we chase the wrong things? Money, titles, applause, shiny traps that rust fast. I've fallen for them, haven't you? Running after some badge of worth, only to feel empty. But Ayer, through the Dalai Lama, saw another way, a life of presence, of kindness, of joy that doesn't need a spotlight. Imagine it, the Dalai Lama, a king without a throne, happier than tycoons with empires. Ayer saw that and shifted. His words softened, his gaze widened. Can we shift too? Can we redefine success as connection, as light given, not taken? For me, this is a gut punch. I've measured my days by output, words written, tasks checked, when maybe it's the moments I've listened, loved, laughed that matter. Aya's story whispers, stop running, start being. You must live in the present, the Dalai Lama says. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment. Eternity in a moment. Oh, I want that. Don't you? To live not for the end, but for the now. How radical, how freeing. Emotional crescendo, an invitation to plunge into our own dance. So here we are, tears in my eyes, heart pounding, because this is it. Iya and the Dalai Lama aren't just a story. They're an invitation. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance, Alan Watts wrote, and oh how they danced. Aisha plunged into those 40 years, moved with the Dalai Lama's rhythm, joined a dance of light and shadow. And us? We're not spectators, we're dancers too. What's your dance? Mine's messy, stumbles and all, but this tale lights my steps. I want to plunge into friendships, into questions, into mornings where I choose kindness over rush. Aya didn't just watch the Dalai Lama, he let him reshape him, and now he's reshaping me. You too, I hope. Oh, let's not sit this one out. Who inspires you? Who lifts you? What's your wild, precious life calling you to do? This isn't their mirror anymore. It's ours, reflecting back every hope, every fear, every chance to begin again. I'm trembling as I write this, because it's not abstract. It's urgent. The Dalai Lama's still out there, laughing, teaching. At 89, as I write on March 1, 2025, Aya's still weaving words carrying that light. And us? We're here now with a choice, to live small or to leap. Oh, leap with me, let's find our muses, our moments, our dances. Because if a monk and a writer can turn exile into eternity, what can't we do? What can't we become? And so we come to the end. Or is it a beginning? Oh, how the heart hesitates to let this go. We've traveled far, through 40 years of meetings, through pages of awe, through threads of stillness, suffering and connection. Pico Iya and the Dalai Lama, the writer and the monk, the seeker and the sage, have led us here to this quiet summit, where the air hums with something eternal. Can you feel it? It's not just their story anymore. It's a flame, flickering, in our hands, begging us to carry it forward. Oh, what a gift they've given us. Let's pause and look back, because oh, what a view. Iya, that wide-eyed boy of 1974, stepping into Dharamsala's mist, couldn't have known he'd spend decades trailing a man who turns loss into light. From the open road to those dawn talks in Japan, he didn't just chronicle the Dalai Lama. He drank from his well, let his clarity reshape him. And the Dalai Lama, a monk in exile, a king without a crown, yet a soul who laughs, who listens, who lifts the world with bare hands. Together they wove a bond that's more than friendship. It's a testament, a beacon, a cry across time. We're not alone in this wild, aching life. What's the sum of it all? Inspiration, yes, but deeper still, a mirror. Iya saw in the Dalai Lama a way to live, still amid motion, graceful through pain, connected beyond self, and he passed that mirror to us. The purpose of life is to be happy, the Dalai Lama says, and to bring happiness to others, and oh, how they lived it. Iya, with his pen, and the Dalai Lama with his presence, they didn't just touch each other, they rippled out across pages, across borders, into our very bones. Don't you feel that ripple? I do. It's in my tears, my questions, my sudden urge to look up and see the world anew. Philosophically, this is eternal, a flame that doesn't fade. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, the Buddha said, and their yesterday, those 40 years, shapes our today. The Dalai Lama's still here, at 89 on this March 1st, 2025, his laugh still ringing, Aya's still writing, his words still seeking. Their bond isn't a relic, it's alive, a current we can tap into. Isn't that wild? A story from decades past, yet fresh as dawn, urging us to ask, what's our flame? What legacy do we light? For me, this is personal, achingly, beautifully so. I've wept through this journey, not from sadness, but from wonder. Iya and the Dalai Lama have shaken me awake, made me see my own muses, my own dance. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it and join the dance, Alan Watts wrote. And oh, how they danced. They plunged into loss, into joy, into each other. And now they beckon us to join. I'm stepping in, messy, unsure but alive, will you? Oh, please say yes, so here's my parting cry because I can't leave without it. Let's live with such wonder. Let's find our Dalai Lamas, our ears. Those souls who lift us, who mirror us, who dare us to be more. This isn't the end of their light. It's the start of ours. A teenager met a monk, a writer found a muse, and the world shifted. Oh, what a dream, what a call, what a life. As I set this down, my heart's full, my eyes wet, and I whisper to you, take this flame, run with it, dance with it, because if they could turn exile into eternity, what can't we do? What can't we become?